Let's get back in and listen to what the defense attorney for Victor Rivera has to say.
Victor Rivera did not have the criminal intent to kill Matthew and Patricia. Victor was shocked, stunned, and overwhelmed about information that he learned that night. He was not thinking. His ability to make rational choices was overwhelmed, and his conscious self became a helpless passenger as he shot Matthew and Patricia. Victor did not mean to put anyone in danger. He didn't mean to do anything, intend anything, or act with a conscious object. He reacted and was unaware of what he was doing until it was too late. There are two parts to every crime: a physical action and a mental state. The state must prove that Victor was aware of the nature of his conduct and that his actions would result in the deaths of Matthew and Patricia. That's knowingly. Or alternatively, that Victor was aware of a risk he was creating. That's recklessly. The state cannot prove it, and the state cannot tell you what was going through Victor's mind in those moments. But Victor can. And he will. He will come up here and he will testify. Even though, as we talked about in voir dire, it can be scary. Even though he knows he will be scrutinizing all of his body language. And even though he knows it can be interpreted in different ways and affected by many different things. Even though, as one of you said during voir dire, it's a risk. Even though he does not have to testify, he is going to come up here in front of all of you, in front of a full court, and testify and tell you what happened that night. He is going to tell you about the things that led up to that night and what was happening in his head. I tell you this because the state is going to call several witnesses. But I'm asking that you hold your judgment until you've heard from Victor, until you've heard what he has to say about that night. What happened that night was a reaction to a painful situation, and we need to travel back in time to understand it, and to understand Victor. Victor and his family moved to New Hampshire when he was in his early 20s, and he's been here in Nashua, living with his mom since then. In September of 2023, he was living with his mom and working, doing processing at Swett Yogurt, a job that he held for 13 years. You see, Victor has not led a particularly exciting life. Quite the opposite. Victor has led an uncomplicated life, more modest and regimented than anything else. Victor does have one hobby, that's fishing, which he did at every opportunity. But for the most part, on most days, almost every day, for years, weekends often included, Victor did the exact same thing. He woke up, he went to work, he went to Slade's, he went home, showered, and then he went back to Slade's. And as I mentioned, when he could, at every opportunity, he would go fishing, oftentimes very late at night or very early in the morning. You see, Victor is a man of simple routines, a creature of habit, and Slade's was a huge part of his daily routine. He would play pool with the owner's husband, he would play some Keno, talk to the people who knew there. Victor was what you would call a regular, because Slade's is a community. It's a community spot that has a lot of regulars. Everybody knew Victor's name. Everybody knew Patricia's name. Everybody knew Matthew's name. Everybody knew everybody, and everybody knew everybody's business. So when Victor and Patricia started dating, everybody knew. Patricia took care of Victor. She bought him earbuds because he didn't get hearing aids. She pestered him to make doctor's appointments. She would often drive him places. She cared for him. And in spite of all the nice things that Patricia did for him, one night stands out in contrast. On this particular night, Victor walked into a room in Patricia's house, and he saw something between Matthew and Patricia. Or maybe he thought he saw something. He accused Patricia and Matthew of running around on him. Patricia and Matthew denied Victor's accusations. They convinced him that he didn't see what he thought he saw. Instead, they used guilt, shame, and emotions to try and pressure Victor into apologizing. Victor did not want to apologize. He thought his accusations were legitimate. But Patricia and Matthew convinced him that he was the one that was wrong. Victor relented, and Victor apologized. After all, Victor is an uncomplicated person. This was his girlfriend and his friend that he was accusing. Maybe he was wrong. Patricia and Victor didn't break up that night or the night after. They broke up in March of 2023. They had been dating, as you heard, for about a year and a half, but Patricia wanted more. Patricia broke up with Victor through a text message. I feel like we are at a standstill in our relationship. We act more like friends than we do lovers. We are not intimate, nor do we even kiss and hug. I stopped kissing or hugging you over a month ago, and you don't seem to mind. I feel if we continue this way, I will start to resent you, and we won't even be able to be friends. So before that happens, I'd like to go back to being friends. Victor didn't respond. They were broken up, and Victor figured that the fact that she broke up with him by text message meant that she didn't want to talk to him. So he didn't talk to her. But they both continued to go to Slade's because they were regulars, as did Matthew. At some point, unbeknownst to Victor, Matthew and Patricia began dating. On the night of September 29th, Victor and Patricia had been broken up for months. Victor figured that Patricia had been seeing other people. He had seen her talking with others at Slade's. But on September 29th, he saw Patricia and Matthew together. If it wasn't clear before, it was certainly obvious then that they were together romantically. Later that night, when they were leaving, Victor went to talk to them. And Matthew said, "Oh, this guy." This and an earlier interaction set the tone for that conversation. Now, Victor already realized that Patricia and Matthew were dating. And as you saw, it's all on video, and you'll be able to review that. At first, the argument was about whether or not they had lied to him. Had Patricia cheated on him? Had his friend betrayed him? They continued to argue as they got to Matthew's truck. It seemed now like maybe they had, and amidst all this, in that moment, Victor recalled that they had also made him apologize. For the first time, he thought that perhaps they were playing him as a fool, made him question himself, his own reality, his own memories. And as this occurred to him, he asked, "Why did you make me apologize?" In the video, if you watch it closely, you'll see his arms go up like this. He didn't get an answer, so he asked again, "Why did you make me apologize?" Patricia glances towards Matthew and says, "Well, he did too." And he looked back at Victor, essentially admitting that not only did they cheat, but they emotionally manipulated him, they gaslit him. The humiliation of making him apologize and question his own reality. And in that moment, Victor did not think. All thoughts stopped. He was shocked, stunned, and overwhelmed. Victor could not think. He didn't think. He was shocked. This new information so overwhelmed his ability to make rational choices that he didn't make a rational choice. His conscious self became a helpless passenger as he shot Matthew and Patricia. But at that moment, he didn't intend to shoot the gun. He was not aware of what he was doing, and he wasn't aware of the risk he was creating. Victor walked away. Victor didn't hide the gun. Victor didn't destroy the gun. He texted with his cousin. He expressed horror and remorse. He waited for the police. We know this from the text messages. I just did something. Can't take it back. I love you. Tell my mom that I love her. I should have never done it. I didn't mean to. It was stupid. I was so furious. That's all. I'm waiting for the cops. You see, Victor knew that what he had done was beyond awful. But even then, in what he thought was a private conversation with somebody who loved him, he said, I didn't mean to. He said he didn't mean to because he didn't. He didn't think. He was unaware of what he was doing. The text messages, though, can only tell you so much. Victor will tell you that he never made a conscious choice to do what he did. He would have chosen differently had he thought. Now, the judge will tell you that the state has the burden of proof. And because they have the burden of proof, they get to go first. They get to go first in opening statements. They get to go first in calling witnesses. I bring this up because I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Because after each one of those witnesses, I want you to remind yourself, I haven't heard everything yet. You will not hear everything until Victor comes up here and he testifies. And that won't happen until the very end of the trial. You won't hear from the one person who really knows what happened that night until you hear from him. Until you get to know Victor, see how he talks, see how he thinks, see him, and hear him tell you what happened in his head, as only he can. Victor's actions were not planned, they were not knowing, they were not reckless. They were done without thought and without intention. And as you know, there are two parts to every crime, a physical action and a mental state. Victor was so shocked, stunned, and overwhelmed that he never formed a mental state. Victor Rivera is not guilty.